ABC Action News is keeping you informed this election year. We're offering candidates in the major races 5 minutes to talk about the issues. Here's Dan Schaefer with tonight's Democracy 2010 profile.
Joining me now, Congressman Gus Bilirakis, Republican incumbent representative for District 9, which includes northern Hillsborough County, northern Pinellas, and western Pasco counties. And thanks a lot for joining us for Democracy 2010. Appreciate it. A couple of hot button issues that have seemed to have polarized the parties this election cycle. First of all, health care reform passed earlier this year. What is your position on that?
Well, I'm against the health care plan. The mandates are unconstitutional as far as I'm concerned. The mandates on individuals, on small businesses, I don't know how they're going to afford it, and the quality of health care. And these Medicare cuts are really real, and we've got to repeal it.
But you agree that something needs to be done. There needs to be some kind of reform.
Something needs to be done. We have to repeal and replace. There's no question, because the costs are too high. And this health care bill didn't even address the costs. You know, no tort reform, nothing to reduce the fraud and abuse. Something definitely needs to be done, though.
Next, President Bush's tax cuts. President Obama has said they should expire for the wealthiest of Americans coming up at the end of the year. What is your feeling on that?
I think that we should extend all the tax cuts. And to talk about the wealthiest, a lot of these people are small businesses, and they're struggling, and they need this help. And during these tough economic times, we should not be raising taxes, and that's what we would be doing. It would be a $3.8 trillion tax increase if we don't renew these tax cuts.
Much of your district, as we mentioned, is in western Pasco County, coastal communities from, well, let's say Tarpon Springs and northern Pinellas, all the way up toward Newport Richey and Hudson. What is your opinion on oil drilling now in the Gulf of Mexico in light of what happened a few months back?
I still feel we need to drill, but it must be safe and responsible. And I'd say a 100-mile buffer. We need to protect the coast, our environment, our tourist industry, as we saw. And definitely the fishing industry, the shrimping industry. So we need to be careful, and there needs to be proper oversight as well, and there was not proper oversight.
And that's going to change, we think,
that's
right?
Correct? That's going to change.
Regardless of who gets into power, I expect.
Definitely needs to change.
All right. You're a member of the committees on Homeland Security, Veterans Affairs, and Foreign Affairs. How should we, in your opinion, progress in the war in Afghanistan to get our troops home as soon as possible?
Well, I think that we have the right man in place right now, General Petraeus, and they are making progress. There's no question. Let him have the flexibility and make the decisions and get our troops home. But we shouldn't have any kind of a deadline. It's too important. We have to win this war.
Finally, immigration reform, a hot-button issue for all border states, and Florida is certainly included in that, even though our border is water. But what is your opinion on what should be done to keep states like Arizona perhaps from going to the extreme that they did?
Well, we need to close the borders. And, you know, I don't blame Arizona. They took matters into their own hands because the federal government hasn't acted. So we need to secure our borders. We need to disincentivize a lot of these immigrants who are coming, these illegal immigrants from coming to the United States. There's no question we need border security. We need visa security as well. We're not screening these applicants enough, and I've been working on that. We need to scrutinize our application process, even if they're here, come into the country temporarily. The student visa program needs to be taken a look at as well. We need to monitor these students. That's the easiest way to get into our country. And see, the 9/11 hijackers came in that way.
We have about a minute left if you'd just like to address the voters with some final thoughts.
I feel that we need jobs are the #1 issue, and we need to cut spending. And as a matter of fact, I recommend going back to 2008 levels, with the exception of defense and our veterans. So we need to take care of our veterans, our wounded warriors. They're extraordinary individuals. I've been to Iraq and Afghanistan twice to Iraq and once into Afghanistan. Extraordinary people. We need to take care of them once they come home. So, like I said, jobs, cut the spending. You know, we need. That's the best thing we can do for our children and grandchildren.
Gus Bilirakis, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. You're a Republican candidate for U.S. Representative District 9. He faces Democrat Anita DePalma on November 2nd.